coming to you, recorded quite some days ago in a German city. It's the RetroKork episode on wrestling games for the Commodore 64.
RetroKork.
Brother, today I'll be discussing 3 wrestling games. 2 of them are licensed titles, pertaining licenses held by Vince McMahon. That's right. But the question is, what are you going to do? What will you do when Cockamania runs wild? But seriously, brother, these games are almost as old as I am. For example, WWF WrestleMania Challenge, brother.
WWF WrestleMania Challenge predates the time that the Panda Bears of the world decided to disallow Vince McMahon to use the WWF moniker. After all, it's from 1991 and it's by our subpar friends over at Ocean. In single player mode, you get to pick between 3 wrestlers. Hulk Hogan, the unfortunately recently deceased Ultimate Warrior, and the not so recently deceased British Bulldog. After loading the game, part of the game, you get to cut a promo against your upcoming opponent. Then more loading and you finally get to wrestle. Well, what you can call wrestle. In practice it feels more like you're pushing up a button and are doing random moves, which make you land on your buttocks. Plus, as you can see, there are no fans sitting in the bleachers. All your matches are kind of literally dark matches without an audience in sight. And the fights take place in total silence, only with the timekeeper beeping and the unseen audience clapping.
You'd probably get more of a kick out of the promo tape that came with the game, but that promo tape probably found its way onto the internet already. I've checked, brother. Anyway, we're not done here. I already have my belt, but that doesn't mean that we're down here. Because, brother, the next game takes you closer to my hometown. It's WWF European Rampage Tour from 1992.
This game takes you to Europe. And by you, I mean you playing either as Hogan, Warrior, Bret the Hitman Hart, or Macho Man Randy Savage. And while this soundtrack, yes, this game has music, is limited to interstitials like the previous game is, and this game doesn't even allow you to cut any promos, there is a bit of a new addition. There is an audience inside. Isn't that amazing? There is an audience. And some backdrops are there as well. But unfortunately now the participants in the fight are really, really small, and the fights still solely consist of you wiggling around your joystick, trying to avoid getting tossed around like a ragdoll by the AI. There are 4 other wrestlers, namely Typhoon, Sex, Irvin R. Shyster, and Animal. No, not the Muppet, the wrestler. But they're only your opponent in single player, which, by the way, ends in Madison Square Garden, New York, where you fight Animal for the WWF Championship belt.
No, brother. I don't need to fight any animals for a belt. After all, I got mine right here. But of course, if I need a new one, I'd go to the store and buy one, or maybe use Spencer's when nobody's looking. Anyway, there's still one more game left for me to talk about. And that is a non-licensed game that is not by our friends over at Ocean. Yes, it's not licensed. It's by Codemasters. And you wouldn't be able to tell that it's not licensed because the wrestler on the cover probably Sog Sogon, because let's face it, he looks like, well, one of the old wrestlers now, like the one who's now been to three companies. Yeah, that's WWE, WCW, even though that's now a part of WWE. And then that other company that is touting this constant action all the time. Can't remember its name. Probably something Dixie Carter's wrestling band or so. Anyway, the game I'm talking about is Wrestling Superstars.
You play the Darling Dude, who is the good guy, the hero, the face in this match. Your opponents, by the way, are referred to as heels, just in case you didn't know yet. There's a lot of sound during the matches, the audience is animated, the sprites are big, but the controls, they are not so good. You usually find yourself wiggling your joystick around like a madman because the AI likes to grapple, and these guys grapple hard. Then they do their test of strength, which, with me, they usually win. Judging by their speed at this part has been responsible for many hurting wrists and broken joysticks. In Wrestling Superstars, you're also unable to leave the ring, which you could do in the Ocean games. Probably because then you'd end up in the audience, which is sitting right next to the ring. There's not even space for an announcer table. Can you believe that?
No, brother, if you ask me. As a friend, as a brother, I would suggest you play a more modern game. Because if you look at them from today's point of view, all three of these games are not very good. Maybe these 5 pro games, these 5 pro wrestling games are good, or all those from the WWE, those licensed titles, or heck, even the Matt Dickey games, but only if you don't pay for them. If you pay for them, they're not up to that necessarily, if you ask me. All these games are a better alternative in today's day and age, brother.
So, now with this being over, next time we'll be back in front of the wall and we'll be taking a look at, well, at a very familiar TV show license. I'm going to talk about Airwolf.